Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here, Bill. Thanks for the introduction, Mariano. How are you, my friend?
Hello, how are you, everybody?
Okay. Well, the great thing about doing this virtually is that we don't have to worry about tomato splatter, right? So we we can be a little more confident in our presentation today. So thanks everybody for coming. We hope that you appreciate it or that you enjoy it. So let's see. Now I'm going to see if I can share my screen here. So let me get this thing started, and then I have to go back over here, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to share a screen, and I'm going to share this screen. Okay, so are we looking at what looks like two handsome gentlemen talking about Power Apps? Okay, looks like we already got to go. Special shout out in blue to Facundo, who's here with us. So Mariano and I are really just here for our good looks. If you want to play Stump the Chump, we are going to bring out Facundo to answer the hard questions. So he's here and will be in the Q&A. Okay, so Mariano, this brings us to our topic today.
Yes, Power Apps.
That's right. So we want to go through some of the organizational pains, and so let's get into some of these pain points. When we think about IT organizations and what we're being tasked with, right? We have the three constraints, right? Time, people, and money are always an issue. There are just lots more applications out there, and that serve niche requirements. So they are not necessarily they don't serve necessarily your organization entirely, but they could serve a specific department or a department or two. And so the ability to be able to share information or be able to integrate some of these pieces can be challenging. And of course, right, we've talked about money, and of course, I see security and compliance. We're actually going through a SOC 2, preparing for an audit right now, and oh my gosh, right? There's a lot to it there. We know that IT organizations are generally behind in terms of their requests, right? So more requests coming in than they can handle, right? So the Great Resignation has also made it challenging for organizations to be able to keep up, right? To have these skilled laborers to do that. And then the other piece there is paper processes. So lots of folks still running, again, particularly when I think about the interaction from department to department. If I need to send something over, there's still a lot of paper kind of moving around.
Not just paperwork, if not manual processes that can occur, that they are not digitized. So one of the things that Power Apps and this kind of technologies helps to is to take those manual process and convert them into applications.
Right. So you could think the shared Excel file, right? So everybody has access to that Excel file, and then you just have to hope that nobody overwrites something, right? Or they get they keep all the cells right in the right order. You add a new column, and now all of a sudden nobody can calculate anything. So so the idea here is Power Apps can help us with these pieces, and you're going to hear low code, so it won't take you very long. When you think about as you start taking a peek at Power Apps, you're going to hear low code. And the idea is that you focus on what you do, your data, those processes, and the technology that's needed to move the scenes behind the scene, to do all the plumbing, if you will, behind the scenes is taken care of for you. And the idea is that if you can digitize these pieces, right? To make folks more productive, and you'll see improvements, and then ultimately you'll get a return there on that investment. The ability to move faster also plays a role here, right? Instead of having to wait, right? A la the traditional data warehouse. Right? If you're going to build one, long process, take a lot of time, and then do you really know what you've got until the end? Can be challenging. So, is there a way that I can iterate on that, put some things out there for people to start using, um, to accelerate, right, their productivity? So we wanted to spotlight an organization that we worked with, right, to help develop a Power Apps application. And I guess Mariano, you want to take us through here a little bit?
Sure. Yes, we have a Chemtrade, our client that wanted to digitize and convert a manual process that they have. They have salespeople and technical people on the streets getting technical samples in different states and clients,
Yeah,
and they gather
water
all.
samples, right? So
Yeah,
they
water
wanted to see if
samples.
they could
Sorry.
improve the water quality there. Yeah.
And they gathered those samples, but everything was manual and it was written down even on the samples. So
Right.
uh,
So yeah, so you can
one,
imagine, right? I'm filling bottles of water. I'm writing on the bottle, and then I'm mailing a piece of paper and the bottles in a box. Right now, I'm in the lab. I open up the box, and now I have to figure out what am I looking at.
sure, and of course that comes with errors and duplication and missing information. Uh, so one of the idea of this processes was to streamline this and make it accurate and get more quick information from the samples and getting consistent information in the lab. So what we basically made with Chemtrade's team, because they know the exact process, they know the business, and we can use Power Apps to quickly build this application that can be used either on a browser or even on a mobile phone with the same experience to gather the information right on the field. So whenever this salespeople or technical people walks into a client, they can leverage the information that the sample that they are gathering, and they can take a picture. They will write down exactly where a client is this water sample from and all the technical pieces there, and immediately that information gets to the lab. So that's the idea of this application.
Right. One of the other, so that's just the automation piece. Another extension that they found is that now they can collect information that Mariano mentioned that they didn't have before, right? So how often am I taking samples from this spigot or this water source, whatever?
Yeah, we can
I
easily add, for example, GPS location because the mobile phone has that information as well. So it is
That's
very
right.
easy to include that with the technical information that you're gathering at the site. So yes, we have more data and more accurate data than before.
Yeah, exactly. Um,
And of course, the ability of Power Apps is that it's very easy to integrate with existing systems. So everything that we gather on the field, it goes directly to a flow and impacts on the IT systems.
yep, yep. Yeah. So again, the ability to go a little bit faster, right? Putting those applications in the hands of the users and allowing them to do a bit more. So again, as I've mentioned, um, you focus on your business, right, and then the behind the scenes is all taken care of through the Power Apps, technology. Now, it is again the low code, right? They're going to want you to be in the in a GUI perspective, ultimately, so that you can again go faster. and deliver a bit easier. One of the nice things about the delivery, and I know we talked about mobile apps, but you don't necessarily have to start on the phone. Power Apps does integrate with all of the Office 365 tools that you're currently working with, right? So whether that's SharePoint or Teams or even some of the Office pieces, in the Power Apps side, they can integrate there, and you can publish the apps to a place where the users are already going, and they don't have to use another tool to execute. Right? They can do all of their work seamlessly, if you will, in a single application where it makes sense.
The good thing about this is that you can use Office 365 to publish Power Apps applications and integrate with other pieces there, or you can do the opposite, is that you can use Office 365 as a data source, or where you can get information from. So it's very tight integration between those products.
Yeah. So again, the idea is low code, right? Power Apps are going to take care of a lot of the complexity for you, but it can get complicated quick. And in our example, right, it got complicated pretty quick. And if you want to extend or need to extend to other pieces, you can. Right? You're not limited. You're not necessarily boxed into, oh, now all my code's in Power Apps and I have to, everything has to be through a connector. Right? You can get into these other pieces and extend as you need.
Correct.
Right? And so for those, even those of you who have been doing development, I think you're going to find support and I don't want to say complexity. What's the word? A depth. You're going to find a depth of offerings there that are going to allow you to be flexible or extend what it is that you want to do, right? Particularly as you get into the enterprise, right?
Right.
The small and medium business might be that, hey, I just want to interact with an Excel, right? As you get bigger, and you need to, for whatever reason, need to expand that. You'll have access to be able to do that.
Yeah, we don't have to forget that everything that is built on Power Apps eventually is run on the Microsoft Cloud. So it gets all the benefits of all the components that are residing on Azure. So you can use API services, you can use flows, you can interact with every service that you can spin up on Azure. So you can go big very quick.
Right. Which is then kind of almost another feature, because you can then kind of prove something out. Hey, will this work, right? Without spending a whole lot of time, but then when you need to extend, right, it'll be there available for you. So again, we mentioned a lot of times we're seeing, and your experience might be different. And in fact, I'd be interested to know, maybe in the chat, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and start putting in, if you don't mind sharing, like some of the problems that you would like to potentially solve with Power Apps. Admittedly, a lot of what we're seeing is, again, this like I have a department, like the sales reps, right, need to get it to the lab, right? Or the, manufacturing group needs to get it to the, marketing wants to integrate, something with them. And so it's that sharing of inter-department information that we're seeing a lot of organizations want to leverage Power Apps. And so because they have these kind of niche areas, Power Apps provides the ability to have these connectors, so you can pretty quickly, again, you don't have to necessarily worry so much about the, from an API layer, if you're familiar with that. Power Apps is going to be able to connect and do those transformations for you. Okay, so this flow code will take you to the SQL Data Partners site, where we invite you to take a peek more if you'd like. You're welcome to reach out to Bill or myself, Mariano, if you have other questions. Obviously, in this meeting, you can ask questions. But if you'd like to know more, you can certainly do that. Power Apps, or Microsoft does make Power Apps available for you to try on a trial basis, so that you can get started. So I think that is the end of our PowerPoint. I guess any questions there?
We have a Luther question here. Is the ability to read a mailbox in Outlook and extract the attachments. That can perfectly be done. I don't know if Power Apps is suitable for that, but for sure, Power
It
Automate.
sounds like it might be more of a flow.
Flow from Power Automate
flow, right.
can be done from that. Because when
Depending
you
on
read
what you
your
want to do
email,
with it.
exactly. Which is the output of this? Okay, you read the emails and extract the attachments, and you want to put those attachments somewhere else. So depending on what you want to do after that, you have to choose between Power Automate or Power Apps. But yes, that can be done, of course. There are specific connectors to reach a mailbox, and you can easily ask whether that email has an attachment or not. If it has an attachment, you can put those files whenever you want.
Right. Oh yeah. Okay. Power Automate. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Brian. Yes, they changed the names, but you finally learned the name, and then they change it on you, and it's like, oh, okay.
It's Microsoft, and it's a cloud product, so you're gonna get used to.
That's right. We say power so frequently, right? My 7-year-old's like, "Are you a superhero, Daddy?" Like, no, I just work with Microsoft.
Right.
Okay, so hopefully that was a helpful kind of primer, right? And so now what we thought we would do was kind of jump in and just show some quick examples.
Sure. Okay, let me share my screen. Just a moment. Is it working right now? I think it is.
There we go.
Okay. Okay. So, what are the things? Well, to start, you can go to make.powerapps.com. This is the main screen that you have to reach to start developing a Power Apps application. As any other Power or Microsoft product, you have to have your own Microsoft user. And I have my own environment here created for me. And when you are already logged in, you can start developing or interacting with its apps. But one of the things that I want to show you is how quickly we can create a sample application starting from the data. Okay, so which is basically a common pattern. Most of us, or all of us, always use Excel files to share information or work with information. So I have a basic Excel spreadsheet here, which has products, which is our carpets and flooring products. So we have a basic table here that has the product name, a category, price, an image, an extended description, and nothing else. Okay. So after we save this table in Excel, which has nothing else more, and it's saved, I put this Excel file on my OneDrive, which is tied to my user at Microsoft. Okay. So
it's
when
inside the 365 system, if you will.
Yeah. If it is that's correct. That's the file system, the shared file system, where you can put files on the cloud. When I log in to Power Apps, I have the ability to connect that OneDrive or that space in the cloud as a repository for my files as well. So one of the things to start creating application is creating a data source. So we have two options here. Or we can start building the application first and then connecting data, or doing the upward path, is getting the data and building an application for that data specifically, okay? So I will go here and go to the create menu and ask for more data sources. And this eventually see what are my connections. And you will see as my user is an Office 365, it will show you here my connection to my OneDrive. If my internet connection allows, of course. Refresh here. It's going to run again.
I have to take myself off of mute so y'all can hear me. So as we're waiting on there, I actually had a question for Facundo. So I see Carson's here. We were just talking about a use case, and I'll hide some of the complexity. So let's assume we're going to start an Excel document. Is there a way for me to create a grid that would then allow the users to be able to sort or change? So row number 4 needs to be row number 1, and kind of move that up and down as the data gets added. Does that make sense what I'm asking? If you know if there's a way to do that, think about that and put it in the chat. It was something I've been meaning to reach out to you and I haven't done it yet. Okay. I apologize.
Here is a refresh page. So here is the connection of my OneDrive. I have a connection as well for SharePoint, or example for Dropbox if I use a third-party cloud storage. Here is my file, which is synchronized to the cloud. And then I will click here, choose this file, and it will detect that I have a table, a data table. And I will click and connect to this. And now, this is the magic that happens behind the scenes. It will read this Excel file and it eventually build a custom app with 3 different pages or 3 different menus starting from that data. Okay, so it will give me a grid. It will put a title. It will create a button for adding new records and a search menu bar. Okay, so this is everything starting from raw data that I have on Excel file. I didn't program anything. Just read the file and create this basic Power Apps with 3 different screens. Okay, the home page, detail, and edit screen. So we can go here and make a preview of the app. Okay, so eventually read the name of the name of the type of the product, the name, and the extended description, and that we use an URL for the image. It will show the image itself and not the URL. Okay, we have an extended detail about this item, and we can edit it. Carpet here, and we can click OK. Okay, so it gets edited.
Right, and this is one of those great use cases where you've got the Excel, people are editing it, and you only want them to edit that one column. You don't have to worry about them fat fingering or accidentally writing over something else, right?
Correct. Okay, so we can do basic stuff like, for example, I don't want to have this title. I want to change the colors. For example, we can use this one. And for example, I want to add the logo. For example, you can go to Insert, Media, Image, and we have this object, and we can add an image following this object, for example. And let's go add this logo. So we are building a nice app for Carlos. And then we have our nice app ready to go. Okay, now we have.
We love the logo, but that heading is going to have to change. But like every IT project, right? Oh, we love it, but can you change that color? Right? I had to do that.
So, okay, so we are going to save this app because now we are on the development side, and we can put this demo app. And we are going. We have two options. We have the option to save it locally on our computer, or we can save it directly to the Power App service. We're going to save it on the cloud. It will take just a couple of seconds, and then we are going to publish it, which will be the next step to share it to the rest of the organization, of the users that I want to use this application.
How is everybody else going to interact with it?
Exactly. So we can go share here. This will take a couple of seconds. I will go here. I'll save and close. It takes a couple of seconds to refresh all the apps that I have. And now I can start using different people. For example, I want to share this with Facundo. I can send it to him, and I can give it the access just to use it, or I can give the access to modify it and republish the application as well. So this is basically everything on the Office 365 directory. So everybody on my organization, you can go for this. If not, you have to ask permission for your Office 365 tenant in order to get those guest users, so you can get them permissions later. Okay, so we can go share here, and Facundo will receive an email saying that you can access this application right now. This is one of the ways that you can share this app. The other way, as we mentioned, that we have a Office 365 integration, we can add this application directly to Teams. So we can use this button here. Of course, we can change everything here. If we want to have a different name, if we have to have a different description, everything is customizable. So we put the button, add to Teams. It will say that you need to have the Teams open, of course, and we'll use the button open. And here is my thick client of Teams. And it will give me the option to add this application. Everything here is by default, but you can change it. We add it here. And now we are going to see that we have a new icon to access the application, and we will see that we have the same experience, either using it through Teams or using it by web. And of course, here is my demo app icon, and here is the application running directly to Teams. Okay. And if not, if you don't want to use Office 365, you can download on your mobile phone or your tablet. You can use the Power Apps application and download it from your iTunes or sorry, I forgot the name of the other.
Like the Play Store or the...
Yeah, Play Store. Yeah, thank you for that. And download the Power Apps client. And when you have your user added to Power Apps, you log in and you will have the same experience on your mobile phone. Okay.
Yeah,
So remember that we have started from Excel.
Exactly, right, exactly. So now to go from that to the phone, right, all of the, again, that complexity behind is kind of taken care for you, should you want to get there.
Yeah, and you don't have to build, or you have a development team working on developing a specific application for iOS or a specific application for Android. Everything is carried through the Power Apps side. And that's
So
how you can easily create applications on Power Apps.
Yeah. So what do you think? I did see a celebration. I thought it deserved a few more, right? You published to Teams, man, right? Just in a quick second. So hey. So one of the things, and again, this is where it gets. I wanted to take a quick peek and talk about. So pricing, right? So we wouldn't be good stewards if we didn't talk with you a little bit about pricing.
Mm-hmm.
And so pricing, there are two options. So depending on the number, you can actually price it per app, or you can price it per user, right? And now there are some restrictions, if you will, or the per, in the per user. But it's $5 a month per app, or you're doing $20 a month per user. So there is some cost there, but that'll be something you'll have to take a peek. But again, right, is that ability to be able to move faster? What's that worth? And can you get the ROI on that?
Yeah, you have to have a balance between licensing per app or licensing per user. You'll have a balance for that, depending on how many users access the applications or how many applications do you need. That would be the balance.
That's right. So this is, again, you can always start per app to pay the lower fee and then convert, right? So there's those pieces.
Correct.
Okay, so do you have to have a specific Power App server or just shared from your personal Azure account? Yeah, so this is all cloud services, right? So you're not hosting anything.
Correct. Unless you use a specific services besides Power Apps. For example, if you want to connect to a SQL Server data, you will have to pay for that. But to start, no.
Like a Power Apps application server, if you will, right? You're not going to have one of those. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, so in this case, right, so just the example that we just showed, he's got Office, which is going to give him the Outlook, OneDrive,
or SharePoint.
Right? So the Excel is in OneDrive, right? It also gives him Teams, and so that my Office 365 license is kind of taking care of that, and then you have the Power Apps license, which is going to be what, in this case, $5 a month per user for him to be able to access that in Teams. Okay, so Greg wants to talk about gateways. And so I guess the equivalent would be like on the Power Apps or the Power BI side, is that, hey, I have my data and I need to be able to get it up there. And again, so this is where we are starting to talk about extending. So once I go outside the Office 365 bubble, right, then it's not necessarily gateways, but like connectors and how do I get that information becomes relevant. And unfortunately, I think and Mariano, you can further this, but it's going to be a little bit of it depends, because it depends on what your data source is as to what you're going to need.
Correct.
Yeah.
The good thing, there is no extra cost of using gateways. It's just a free piece of software that you need to install on your current on-premise installation. And of course, it has all those specific things that you have to define, like which IPs, ports, security rules, which users are you going to use to connect to the data or services that you have on premises, and those kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Following the answer from Facundo, yes, that could be a way, using a public API. If you don't want to use specific gateways, and you have people that can develop APIs for you, that could be a potential solution to connect to data to Power Apps or from Power Apps.
Yeah, and I guess, so let's be, I get to kind of peel back the onion a little bit here. This is where it's possible, but this is where the complexity starts to add up a little bit, right? Because now all of a sudden you're outside of the cocoon, and it's, again, you still can do it, but that's where you there's just more to consider there, right? And so that was kind of what we wanted to walk through. Hey, there he is. Hey, Facundo.
Mariano, Carlos, hey everyone.
Hey, how's it going?
If you have any questions, we can take it.
Are you in Italy right now?
Yes, right now, yes.
Okay.
The south of Italy, in Sicily.
There we go. All of a sudden, I'm on my Italian just went, ciao, the only thing I can think of, right? Like, anyway. Yeah, so that was what we wanted to do for this session. For the next session, we're going to have another session in 2 weeks. And what we are going to do there is to dive a little bit deeper, right? Start getting into, once we kind of break outside of the Office 365 piece, start talking a little bit about connectors, and how you might go about architecting, some of those pieces. So that's what's on tap for next, for the next session. So if there's other things you think we should be talking about in that next session, again, please let us know. But that's kind of our approach. Thanks everybody for coming. Thanks Mariano for being here.
Thank you very much.
Yep, very good. And we'll see y'all next time.
See you. Bye. Thank you.
SQL Data Partners.